DJ Ash Noble here. Welcome back to another stream. Today we are doing the Fusion Bounce Aftermath. Now, if you don't know what these aftermaths are, these are basically, they're kind of like my reviews of a gig that I played at or an event, but it's also like where I just document the whole experience of playing at the events or going to the gigs that I've been going at. And I do these live streams to kind of document, keep them as a little bit of a memory on the channel. Doesn't always work because, we struggle with things like internet connection and, other various things can sort of impact us from everything going sort of smoothly. So I don't get the opportunity to document every event down, or sometimes we suffer lag through some of them. But we do, document loads of things down as part of, my sort of like music journey, if you like. So, Fusion Bounce, what can I say about Fusion Bounce? Now, unfortunately, not everything went smoothly for the gig last night, and I'm gonna unfortunately share the bad news that I unfortunately didn't actually get to play my set because of things that were out of the promoter's hands. There were things that unfortunately just impacted the event from a few different angles that just unfortunately resulted in a bad result, which isn't always good. But I'm not the angry DJ here. I understand that things didn't go to plan, that was kind of out of their control. First off, unfortunately, there was bad weather. As I'm sure you're all aware, there's been absolutely chaotic weather across the UK. There's trees being blown down, there's heavy winds, there's rain, there's been train journeys have been cancelled, left, right, and centre. And it was actually very, very lucky that I even got to Bolton. And the rain is coming down quite horrific in Hull now, and I can see one of my windows, and I'm looking out, and there is a tree just absolutely, moving like it's turning corners round the Isle of Man TT. It's going like the clappers, and there was a lot of train journeys that were disrupted, cancelled, and my journey there was not all plain sailing, as I will tell you when we get sort of further into the stream. So a lot of trains got cancelled. A lot of people that had planned to come to this event and travel by train and stay in hotels and set off for journeys, unfortunately, they were unable to come. Because they couldn't make it for the weather, which unfortunately that impacted the event in the first place. You can't unfortunately help that. So the numbers, although I actually, in all honesty, didn't think the numbers were actually all that bad. The numbers weren't as good as they hoped, and it was just basically, one of them bad things. I thought at times the event was doing really well. There was quite a few people in, everybody was vibing, but unfortunately it wasn't, on the numbers that they'd had on like the ticket sales. A lot of them, because of the weather, couldn't turn up. So that was unfortunately unfortunate. The second reason, there was a DJ in the main room who decided that, like, second, third set of the night, he was going to go in with a heavy hard bass and Spanish pokey set. And hard bass and Spanish pokey, now don't get me wrong, I love a bit of Spanish pokey. I like my hard bass, I'm quite a fan of it. But there is times and places to play that style of music. Now, a lot of people that had come into the nightclub, they liked things they could sing along to, they liked vocals, they liked a few heavy drops, but they liked the vocals, they liked the melodies, they liked all the well-known stuff. And when there was well-known stuff being played, you could hear them singing. When there was a tune they liked, you could hear them singing it, and it was a really good vibe in that sense. But when he came on with the hard bass, they didn't like it, so that caused people to filter. Some people were going from the first room into the second room. Some people were just deciding to leave because some people had just kind of coming off the streets, and were passing and thought, you know what, I'm going to go to a different venue. This is too hard and heavy for me. Unfortunately, big shout to people joining and commenting. So that impacted the event, unfortunately, in that sense. And then second of almost, which was what really impacted me from playing, was somebody or something. Somebody had apparently had broken the decks in the second room, and the USB sticks were not working. Now, I'm no expert when it comes to DJ decks. I'm not a pro, but I do know about them. I do know how to use them properly. I do know how to mix on them. I do know how to play on them. And I do know that if a USB stick is ejected incorrectly, that doesn't break the decks. That doesn't break the decks. That just, in all honesty, corrupts a USB stick. The same as if you pull it out of a computer without ejecting it properly, you're damaging the USB stick. You're not damaging the computer, because the USB stick is something external to the system. And it's the same with a CDJ. The CDJ, you plug in something into a CDJ that is reading, that the CDJ's got to read something off of something else. It's not, it's not something related to the CDJ itself. It's something that the CDJ has to do, and if it can't read that, then it's something with the USB stick, unless of course the USB port has been physically broken. But the sticks were reading for a lot of the other DJs, so it was very bizarre. But they classed it as, unfortunately, the CDJs were not working. The CDJs were broken. Now at this point, I was pretty confident that if I'd have plugged my stick in, it would have probably been able to read it. However, just because I wasn't at the time, I wasn't fully aware what was going on. I didn't want to plug my stick in and then cause my stick to break, so I opted just to kind of stay clear of plugging my stick in. So unfortunately, when that happened, they had to close the second room, and they was going to put some of us onto the main room, and they were going to sort of B2B us, so some of us could still play. And then the two promoters were going to give up their sets themselves, which is, it's a nice thing to do, but it is also the right thing to do, because at the end of the day, you're putting an event on, your booking artist, and you need to, unfortunately, you have to ensure that they play before you. You're putting an event on. It's not, although like you can put an event on and you can put yourself down to play, it's your event. You have to be available for any issues and any problems that might go on with your event. And if that means that you don't get to play and you have to put somebody else on, that's not always a bad thing. And sometimes that can show, you're throwing somebody in at the deep end, and it almost kind of shows, can you handle a main room set? And if so, that could be good things for that person going forward with a brand to get booked again or something. So it can work out as a good thing. Can be a bit gutting when you're looking forward to playing yourself, but unfortunately you're promoting an event. It's not as such about you playing. So, I respect them that they were willing, and they were, they were offering to do that. But unfortunately, apparently to do with the numbers, the club owner wanted to close the club at 3, because apparently they had no more than 100 people through the door, which I knew for a fact they'd had more than 100 people through the door. It was busy. They'd had between 160 to 200 people through the door throughout the duration of the night, which I know, like, it isn't absolutely thousands, well, I don't think the club holds thousands, but I know the club wasn't rammed. It wasn't like absolutely heaving, but what do you expect with the weather? And in all fairness, I think for the things they were battling against, the weather, I think they did really well. And I just think it was a shame that the club had opted to close, because like I say, the people that were in there, they were vibing and they were bouncing and they were singing, and it was quite busy. And I think, closing the main room, it was a little bit of a gutting thing to do, because you don't want to do it, but it impacted the main room was even busier, because there wasn't people filtering to that second room, which made the main room overall better. and then we could have worked the B2B sets, I'm sure, but unfortunately the club wanted to close. So that was the unfortunate of why I didn't get to play. So the travel was an absolute nightmare. The travelling back today was actually really good, but travelling there yesterday was absolutely it was just absolutely crazy. So I set off the yesterday morning about 23 minutes past. No, it was quarter past 12. I set off from Hull. We set off on time. Everything was going fine and smooth. When I left my flat, it had literally just started to rain, and the rain had got worse. But we got on the train. The train set off absolutely fine. And then literally we got to Leeds, and this is where all the issues started. So we got to Leeds, and I was supposed to jump on another train that was to take us to Manchester Victoria. But on my train app, it was saying that the train was delayed, and it was supposed to, like, the overall route was going to the Manchester airport. So that was delayed. It wouldn't say why it was delayed for whatever reason. Then there was another train going to Manchester Airport that came on the same platform. However, it was going to Manchester Piccadilly, and it wasn't going to the Manchester Victoria. Now, I needed to go to Manchester Victoria to get an onward train to go to Bolton. And if I stayed on this Manchester train and then it went to Piccadilly, I'd have to walk from Piccadilly to Victoria, which you can walk it in about 6 or 7 minutes. So I don't mind that. Or I could have jumped on a tram or a bus, but that's like extra travelling. So I didn't really want to do that, but they were suggesting jump on this train. It's going to get you to Manchester. You might as well jump on it. So I sat on the train, and it can't leave for a while because there's a tree down on one of the tracks, and it can't leave. So unfortunately, we're sat stuck on this train, and I'm umming and ahhing. I'm wondering what to do. So I search on the train app, and there was a train on another platform that was going to Victoria. So I opted to jump on it. I thought at the end of the day, I'm just gonna have to jump on it. Like there's nothing I can do. I thought it's gonna get me to Victoria. I'm still gonna miss my onward train, but I'll just have to jump on another train going to Bolton from that station. And just explain the situation. So I jumped on the train, and the train was absolutely rammed. I've never seen a train so busy in all my life. Like you were stood and you just could not move. And I had to stand like right near like the doors where you exit the train. So did loads of other people. Then luckily some people got off near the doors, and there's some like little fold up seats, and I managed to get sat on a seat for like the majority of the journey, and it was really good because I was sat down. But there was loads of people like having to stand, and then we got right near Manchester, and I needed the toilet, so I had to get up to go to the toilet, and I lost the seat unfortunately, and I had to stand, and it wasn't the best thing at all. It was horrible. So we got to Manchester Victoria, and then there was a little bit of a delay waiting for a train that was going to take me to Bolton, and then I eventually got to Bolton. Probably about I was probably about 45 minutes later into Bolton than I originally was going to be. So it was a little bit of a pain. It was peeing down with rain. My phone battery was about to die, and I had to try and find where this hotel was, which wasn't that far from the station at all. It was about 3 minutes away. So I was actually quite, pleased about that. But the GPS was playing up because of the weather. Started taking me on a little bit of a diversion, which was mad. So I eventually got to the hotel, and the hotel, what I will say, the hotel was really nice, but it was really weird at the same time. It was a really nice place, You know, the bed was really comfy, everything was really clean and tidy. Like you really couldn't fault in terms of like how clean and tidy everything was. The door was an absolute, it was a pain to lock. I couldn't get the door to lock properly. It was a really weird, like the way you lock it was just weird, and the keyhole was just a really weird keyhole that was like in the middle of a door handle, and it was a real little like circle door handle, and it was really awkward to lock, but I did manage to lock it in the end. Um, and then the heating was on, but it was really warm in there. Like the heating was really, really warm in there, which it was all right at first. Like when I first arrived, it was all right because I'd just come out of the rain. I was quite cold. But when I came back there after the club and I'm laid in bed and they've got this like really thick, heavy white duvet on the bed, and the heating's like proper blasted up, like, you know, to say it was December, like I had to get up and open a window. That's how warm it was. And then even by the morning, I hadn't, you know, like the heating was still on, and I hadn't cooled down in the slightest. So it was a little bit of a pain in that sense. But apart from that, like it was really clean and tidy. But it was a really hell of a big place. And there was loads of little rooms. And then there was one big kitchen, but it was like a big, like a lot of like foreign people stayed there, and like all the food was like halal, and it was like you know, like Muslims that don't eat meat and stuff, which, you know, I've got nothing against that, but like I just kind of felt like I don't even really know like where to fit in, you know. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to try and avoid the kitchen as much as possible, because, you know, like even though like I know like obviously what not to do, and when it comes to meat products and things. But all it takes is like one person to get the wrong idea, or one person to just take a dislike into you. I mean, I lived in a shared house for a little while, which, you know, you should all know about, and there was a Muslim woman in there who did not eat meat products, and it was awful. Like you using the chip pan, and then she's coming down like, you haven't put meat in there, have you? Like, swear to me you haven't put meat in there. And I'm like, I haven't put meat in there. My closest friend is halal, does not eat meat, is Muslim, and you know, like I'm not putting meat in there. And but, you know, we'd have this like going on all the time. So I had bad experiences there. So when it came to there last night, I just kind of thought, you know what, I'm just going to go out and get food. The only thing I did there was make a cup of tea, which it was really nice actually. It was a really nice cup of tea. I could have made one in the bedroom, little tea bag, but then I realised there was only glasses and not mugs. And then I went downstairs, and there was actually like a proper sugar pot instead of the one that like the little sachets you get in your room, and there was like proper tea bags, and there was proper milk in the fridge. And I just thought, you know what, that's exactly what I need. So I made a proper brew, laid for a bit, chilled out. There was a smart telly in the bedroom, and then I thought, I'm going out for food, because I'd only had a bowl of cereal in the morning. I was starving. I'm actually starving now. I'm going out for food soon, actually. Um, but yeah, I'd only had a bowl of cereal, and then I didn't get time to make a sandwich, and I didn't get time to do this and that. So I decided that I was just gonna go out and get something to eat. And I found this like kebab shop where you could sit inside, and they did like doner meat and cheesy chips, which that's, you know, that for me, I was just hungry. That I mean, I love my doner meat and chips as it is anyway, but like that would have done. You know, like that did me absolutely fantastic. So I ate that, and then I realised that when I came out of the night, out of the takeaway, the nightclub was just literally across the road. Like it would, like across the road there was another street that goes up, and it was just on that street. And I was like, wow, like I really have stayed like in like literally like the train station's round the corner. The From where I was staying, the venue was literally more or less across the road from where I was staying. So like I literally could not have got any closer to the venue without more or less like sleeping on the doorstep. Like that's how good it was. And that was a buzz for me. because like sometimes you have a bit of a walk, or you have to get a taxi, or you get a bus, or it's a bit too far to walk. But that was all right, and I was proper buzzed at that. So for me, it was really good. I enjoyed it in that sense. So we got to the venue. The venue was absolutely, I thought the venue looked really good. I was like, wow, this club looks really good. I was just proper excited. We had this like VIP section. They had all this like fire going off and stuff on the stage, and like pyro, and it looked really good. And I just thought like, wow, they've gone all out for this event, and it was just so exciting. I was proper buzzed, and the tunes were going off, and both rooms were starting to do quite well. And then the guy came on and played the pokey and the hard bass, and kind of killed the vibe. And then the decks went in the second room, and everything just kind of, it was almost like the night in sense it got worse as the night went on. But it got worse, but it kind of still stayed good. Like the DJs that were playing were killing it. The main room was having it. And it was just a little bit of a shame, unfortunately, that it came to what it came to. So not the best experience, but I still had an enjoyable night, and I ended up grabbing the microphone, bringing MC Noble out of retirement for kind of like just that one night only kind of thing. I say retirement. I haven't really retired as such. I just don't aspire to chase bookings as MC Noble. But if I'm at an event and someone says, "Oh, here, grab the mic," like I'll happily grab it, because I enjoy the environment and the fun of it. I just don't enjoy all the going live and spitting bars and doing the freestyling videos. And I just kind of think like, I can grab the mic if I want to, but I'm pushing myself as a DJ now. That's kind of where it is. So there you go. That is kind of really the aftermath. And then I've just literally not long since got back, traveling, coming back. My first train this morning was cancelled. Wasn't a big issue. I just jumped on an earlier train. I had a bit of time to kill in Manchester, so I just had a little look around, had a walk about, had some breakfast at a station cafe this morning, which I had mixed vibes about the cafe. To be fair, the cafe was it was a nice cafe. The food was nice. The staff were quite nice. However, it was like you could tell it was a family-run business, and you could tell the owner of the cafe had children. The granddad had come to take the children out. The woman was trying to work and run the cafe, but the kid was running around and having a hot chocolate and spilt it on the table. And then there was a younger kid that was in no trousers and just had a nappy on, which I thought was a little bit, you're in a cafe, there's people sat here eating, and then he decides to almost like lay the kid down on the sofa and then put the trousers and sort of dress the kid while people are trying to eat. And I just think like that was a little bit sort of like disgusting. Like I don't appeal to being sat there having some breakfast and watching a granddad dress a toddler, and seeing like a toddler's nappy and bare legs, and then the kids screaming and crying. Like, it's not the environment when you're having, when you're trying to run a business, and I don't think it's very clean and hygienic. So, and then also, you could see like behind, like there was a room behind the cafe, that was just a room full of junk, and it had like babies' toys in there, and it just had like loads of bits of anything. But then the actual front of the cafe was done out quite nice and smart, and the food was actually quite nice. And I'd already ordered by the time the kid was getting dressed, and I mean, he was only putting his trousers on. They didn't change the nappy or anything, but I just thought it's not the most hygienic, is it? And the kids there with bare legs, and it just didn't look good for me personally. But the food was nice. The woman was nice and polite enough, and they were grateful of my custom, and it filled a hole. just to get me going on my journey. I debated, whether I actually have a breakfast or not, but then I thought I haven't got all that long until the train, so I thought I'll just have a sandwich. Can eat the sandwich a bit quicker. Although the breakfast did look quite appealing with all the black pudding, which is one thing. A lot of people they don't like black pudding, and I know like a lot of people know what's in it, like it's pig's blood or something. I've always liked black pudding, and I think it's an essential part of a full English. Like you see people having a full English, and they always miss off. Like I think fried bread. I think fried bread as opposed to toast is some. I could eat a fry up right now actually. Fried bread as opposed to toast is something that I think personally, fried bread is something that should go on a breakfast more than toast. Um, and black pudding, hash browns, I think they're all kind of essential. Eggs, I think the egg, it doesn't matter. Like, I think it can be like, because some people say like it's got to be fried egg, but I think it can be scrambled if you want it to be. And to be, in all honesty, like I'll eat both. Like I like a fried egg, I like a scrambled egg. I never used to like fried egg, but I don't mind them now. Like I'll eat fried eggs now, which is crazy. I think it can be scrambled as well. And then I think it's got to be brown sauce, not red sauce. People could have red sauce on a breakfast. No, not for me. Bacon, of course. Beans, tomatoes. I don't like beans, tomatoes, or mushrooms, unfortunately. So I would like opt for an extra sausage or an extra piece of black pudding or something. I'm just not a big fan of mushrooms, to be fair. And beans and tomatoes just don't, they just don't, unfortunately, they just don't appeal to me. But there we go. So, yeah, so safe travelling back. And yeah, so make sure to like, comment, share. Next weekend we're grand opening a nightclub. And please do not get the wrong idea with that. I haven't bought a nightclub. I don't own a nightclub, and I'm not grand opening my own club. There is a club that is opening, and they've booked us to do a grand opening party. So there we go. Make sure to like, comment, share, and we'll see you soon.